Hello everyone, this is the Willing Red Fox and welcome to my world. So I apologise for the format of this video. You see, I actually had pre-recorded this quite a while ago and I only came to edit this on the 23rd. Now this is the 24th when this is going to go live, and when I came to edit it I realised the audio wasn't working. So I'm having to do this as quick as I can, get it ready so that it's uploaded and put onto YouTube for you guys to see today, but for me it's the future, if that makes any sense. So for any of you who have been watching my videos recently, you'll realise that I actually reached 1,000 days in my videos. Now that's actually quite a big goal that I've never realised was actually coming up anytime soon. Mainly that counter was just there just to help people understand how long it actually takes to make a YouTube video, as well as how long it takes to actually gain the materials to do things. Now the reason I decided on that and doing that for my videos was simply because I've always wondered how long does it actually take. Like, you see all the YouTube videos of people doing 100 days in survival, and does it actually take that time? And if so, how long did it take the average person to do it? Not everyone is going to be lucky enough to be able to actually do that full time. So how does it actually work out when you are doing it while also doing other things like a full-time job? That way it kind of gives a realistic overview of what is actually capable and how to best try and break it down. As most people who have seen my channel before, it's pretty much my schedule has changed numerous times over the last year, so you do have to kind of adapt, and yeah, you kind of have to get things done as and when. Well, enough of that. So what we're going to do now is actually talk about the world itself and everything that's gone on over this last, I'd imagine it's been, well, over 1,000 days. Now the clips that you're actually watching in the background, they're all clips from the main island. This is actually the first island that I built in here just so I could get myself started and actually work towards other things. It's hard to think when I actually started this world, this is actually a 5x5x5 dirt island with a single tree. Now, if I'm completely honest, it's one giant cobblestone mess with a giant green field. Not to say I don't enjoy this little place, but it worked for what it needed to be. It wasn't anything greater, it was just something that I needed to get the basic farms going. Now when I first started this island, it didn't actually start off all smoothly. I actually lost the oak sapling in the very first episode, so I actually had to light the Nether portal so that I could use the warpwood forest that I didn't actually know was there until I went through the portal as a means of getting wood to actually be able to grow anything. Now how I lit the portal, I actually had to use the lava that I gave myself at the beginning of the episodes, because I started with a few items just to get things going, like lava, water, you know, the basic generic stuff you would get in a skyblock. Once I got the portal lit, I found the warp forest, and that became my main source of wood. If that wasn't the case, it would have been very dangerous, and I don't think I would have gone so far. I would have had to have restarted from the very beginning, which wouldn't have been too bad given the fact that it was literally at the start, but still a pain. From there, we actually moved on to three major things. One, the mob farm, then the trade of grasslands, and then villages. Now in this world, the way that the generation works is it actually still spawns villages, so I can actually still gain things like potion stands and other tables that you can use to actually gain villages. I'm not too sure what the technical term is, but you know what I mean, like the composters and the blacksmith things. With them I was able to actually gain some certain villages that I actually needed. For example, the brewing stand came from one of the churches that was actually in the area. That way I was able to get redstone pretty early. Now with it being a skyblock world, I could actually just build a platform and have all the mobs spawned in one location, so I didn't really have to worry about many things in regards to getting the villagers. It was a bit of a pain and was a bit dangerous, but I'm not doing this in hardcore because I don't enjoy hardcore anymore. I thought I would enjoy it, but the idea of losing everything if you just make one mistake was just not enjoyable to me. Now before any of the villagers got taken in, I actually had to go and make a mob farm. Main reason for that is because zombies drop iron. Iron can be used into pickaxes. Pickaxes allow me to get gold, and then from there I could get golden apples. Now I was lucky enough to still have apples available from the oak tree that dropped first, so I was able to make 2 villagers, so that led on to making the villager breeder. Once I had that breeder, all I had to do was make sure I had the right materials and the right blocks, and I was able to get farmers, I was able to get a blacksmith, I was able to get a cleric as well, that way for the redstone as mentioned before, and that just pretty much helped me make an iron farm as well. While all that was happening, I gathered up gravel from the Nether so that I could actually then use that to make dirt. Once I had the dirt, I could make a grass block area. As you can see, that's what the big field is when you see them in the clips. The reason for that was primarily farm animals, but I realized also if I made it big enough, it would be big enough for traders to spawn on there. So most of my wandering traders actually spawn on that grass, and then I have to run through there with all the slimes going about. Now none of this would have been possible if I didn't make a cobble farm, and I've actually made I think about 3 or 4 different designs at this point. Now the one that you've seen in this video, I think this is the 2nd or 3rd design, I'm not too sure, I can't quite remember. Cobble farms, they're not exactly the most interesting thing, but they are very well needed in a skyblock world. Reason being, without one you would have nowhere to walk. You would literally be falling through the earth constantly, or you just wouldn't go anywhere because you just wouldn't have the space. But everything wasn't lost. After a while I did actually gain the oak sapling back from the wandering trader, so I actually still have trees now, and for a long time I actually didn't have any trees. I spent a good few episodes where most of the wood projects were done with warp wood, and I pretty much decimated the Nether for that. But yeah, now I have my own little platform just over to the side, right next to the sand and ender portal farm, which was made in the last episode. Yes, I do get structures in this world, so I do get like the Nether fortresses and the bastions and the villages. For some reason, I don't get any of the actual portal frames or anything like the strongholds. I don't get any forests either because the whole thing is made in one giant plains biome. Now, I don't know if that affects the spawn rate of actual strongholds, but when you actually look at the world data of the world, there is actually no strongholds whatsoever, which I'm not too worried about given the fact that now that I actually got to choose where I put the portal, I could put it right next to the spawn. So once I've gone through the ender portal, I pretty much spawn right back where the portal is. Now, I only plan to use duplicator on items that you cannot actually gain without duplicating. For example, sand, you can only get it from the wandering trader. If you waited for a wandering trader, you can only get at least a stack of sand each time. You would never get anything done. Whereas gravel, you get it as a useless trade with actual piglins. But in a Skyblock world, it's probably the best trade you can get from them. Now, eagle-eyed viewers are probably noticing two things about my world already, which happened in the video constantly. One, there's no slimes, and two, there's a giant pathway going off to the side of the iron farm. Now, between episodes, I decided to make a mob switch. The reason for that is because I'm sick and tired of having to build at night and having to wait, because this is a Skyblock world, everything just spawns right on top of you. And especially with phantoms, it is a nightmare getting knocked off of things when you're building them. If you go back to the episode when I did the stone farm, you can see just how much pain that was and how many mobs just actually spawn. It's ridiculous. So between episodes, I actually went and used the village breeder, moved all over villages over to the other side, traded with them a little bit so that way they become a permanent mob, turned them into a zombie villager, and then dropped them into the holder. Now, the mob switch was designed by Pixel Riff. The mob switch is actually designed by Pixel Riff. He designed this a few years ago, I think, and it's just a very rudimentary mob switch. It's nothing fancy, it's just a load of zombies in one spot that can be moved to another so that the switch turns off. I will admit, it was a pain just to get all the villagers over there, but once they were over there, I could then use them to breed rather than the village breeder. And then also moving them to trade and everything, I just grew potatoes. It was the easiest way of doing it, that's why they're all farmers. But yeah, that's now the main area done in regards to the starting island. This is where all the things started, and I will be coming back here to and forth just simply because the sand duplicator's here, so you will see me around this area. Also, whenever I want to turn off the mob switch, I'm obviously going to have to come back here. But for now, we're just going to jump into the Nether and see what's gone in there. So the beginning part of here, as mentioned before, this is where all the source of wood came from. I pretty much decimated the warpwood forest, and I'm not even sure there's a single tree left. I think it's just the leaves that are left now. Well, yeah, this place is completely covered in endermen as well, which was annoying when you accidentally looked at one once you cut a piece of wood and then just start charging you. Wasn't fun. Really wasn't fun. But yeah, in here there's only really 3 major things. Well, 4 if you include the nether paths. Those 3 major things are the gold farm, the barring farm, and a portal to the mob farm. Now, the barring farm I made just very rudimentary, simple one where it just feeds gold into piglins, piglins give me items. Nice and simple. And I can't actually remember where I got the design from, but I'll put it in the link in the description if I can find it. Now, the gold farm. There was a bit of a mistake with the gold farm. Originally, I thought I had messed up and should have gave myself a turtle egg so that I could actually make a decent gold farm. And I was proven very wrong in this regard. So, I set aside a punishment that says that I'm going to be doing something in regards to that. Now, I have a plan for it. I just need to get it all sorted and actually work towards fixing that. Now, I haven't revealed what that punishment's going to be, but it's going to involve a lot of villagers and a lot of emeralds. So once I get that started on the main island, we can then start working on that punishment. But for now, the gold farm has a turtle egg in the top and actually helps out with us getting enough gold to actually get enough gravel to then build land. Now, the last thing to mention is the actual mob island in regards to the mob farm. Now, that was designed so that I can get some other materials like bones, some rotten flesh, and mainly gunpowder, because hopefully now that I have access to the end, I can get an elytra and I'm going to need rockets. It is a little annoying, the mob farm, though, because I do get witches and they do throw potions through the mob farm, which was a design fault on my side. I really should have checked that beforehand, but I can't really do anything about it now. Now, lastly, I do have to mention the nether paths. Now, I decided they were going to be 1,000 blocks apart, just simply because the spacing would then allow 8,000 in the overworld. That way you won't actually ever see anything being built near each other, and there'll be a little bit of a barrier between things, so that way it looks a little nicer. Yes, I could have made it shorter. and honestly I think I should have, but I think 1,000 sounds good. If I didn't think 1,000 didn't sound good, then I probably wouldn't be doing this video. Now we're over to the second island. This second island is V2 base. Now this is where everything's going to be remade again, but a little bit nicer, and in some occasions a little bit too nice. Now what I mean by that is the main island is actually an island design, so it does actually look like a floating island, and this took forever because of the amount of stone, and I just didn't realize in Skyblock it is a nightmare to actually get the base of these islands done because you have to constantly be going up and down, and yeah, it's safe to say I'm not going to design an island like that again. So from now on, most of them are just like semicircles. I think in the future I might do discs. Not too sure, we'll have to see. Over here we've actually got a few things. Mainly we've got the stone farm just over there, the melon farm and pumpkin farms. Those are there just simply so I can gain emeralds in the future with the villagers, which is on the opposite side with the villager breeder and the farmers at the moment. I am going to be adding an island for every villager type just so that I've got them around, so I have pretty much everything I'm ever going to need. But for now, we've only got the farmers. Now, the stone farm is the more important one. Yes, we do have the melon farm and the pumpkin farm, but they're very generic farms that anyone can build, and they're just there. They're pretty much emerald farms, that's what they are. Stone farm is actually a collection of different farms. So there's a charcoal farm, a splitter, as well as a cobble farm, as well as silo storage, so that it has multiple storage points for different things, then small furnace arrays, and then an end point of a stone storage. It's a lot to go through, but it is all there. So at the top of the tower, wood goes in, turns into charcoal, and then gets spread against 4 different furnace arrays, so it can cook cobblestone into stone. There's a cobblestone farm in there where I can gain all the cobblestone and then simply make that into stone, and is split amongst the 4 furnace arrays to do that. And as I mentioned in the video where I showed this, the whole reason why I built it this way is because I don't wish to use Silk Touch. Silk Touch could just be sat there and that's it. I wanted the farm to be interactive, so you actually had to do something in the world rather than just gain everything. That's why a lot of the farms you see are not fully automated. There is something you have to do around the farm. The only farms where that's not the case is the cobblestone farms. The furnace arrays, they're right next to a place where you can grow potatoes. Same with the sand farm. Tree farms, you have to cut them yourself. The stone farm, you have to get the stone and you have to cut down the trees to get the charcoal. The melon and the pumpkin farms are right next to it, so you could be doing that while you're doing this. And then even the villager breeders, they're right next to the villages where you can trade. So while you're getting more villagers, you can be trading with the ones you already have. That way I'm constantly doing something and not just standing around. Because in this world, I don't use beds. I've never once slept in this world. So that's going to be a continuing thing throughout the entire series. So rather than being stood in front of everything all the time, why not build farms that I can interact with? Now, I do know there's not much room around here, and a lot of the room is being taken up by the stone farm and things like that. So farms will be made around, and there will be discs what they will sit on, I think, or I might make a little bit of like a semi-half circle sort of thing. But they probably will be accessible by the elytra. I really do wish to use that more, and I feel like that'll just make things a little bit more interesting when everything's like kind of moving up and down rather than just being all across the same level. Now, there is one last thing I do want to show you all. Now, this is actually going to be a project I'm going to be working on for a little while. Now, I have no idea how long I'm going to be working on it for because I don't know how long it's going to take to make. Now, what this is going to be a mega structure. Now, I've been planning to have something like this in the world for a long time, and I thought now would be a great time to actually start doing that, because as mentioned, I have no idea when I'm going to actually finish doing this. It is quite large, there's quite a lot of materials, and the whole reason why I've waited this long so far was simply because I needed that sand to be able to be duplicating it. But don't worry, there will still be builds that are going to happen throughout. I'm just going to have them running over the top of this, and this is going to be done in the background. So hopefully once this is all done, I will then be able to show it off. But until then, I'll be doing little bits and pieces here and there, and then just simply reveal it at the end. Main reason for that, I've only ever planned the actual layout of this. I actually haven't planned the full build of it. I just need to get the main structure of it done. Once that's done, we can start working on bits and pieces around it. But yeah, that's everything for the tour. I do apologize again that this is just like little clips rather than it being a full tour. As mentioned at the beginning, I kind of ran into a little bit of audio trouble, so I've had to redo this as quick as I can to get this uploaded today, which is my tomorrow, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's everything, and I'm thankful for everyone who's tuned into this channel. It really does help this channel grow, and I hope you still enjoy the videos and enjoy the future ones to come. But until then, I'll see you in the next one.